What's up guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're going to be ranking every single Chelsea player's 25-26 season so far.
As you can see, I've got a tier list here and there's every single first team squad member who has played at least a game this season, and we have the S tier, A tier, B, C, D. So now without further ado, let's get into this tier list with Alejandro Garnacho. But before we do guys, drop a like if you're enjoying this video and subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Now, starting with Alejandro Garnacho, signing from Man United, I'm going to put him in B. Because when he first came in, I did expect a lot from him because Premier League experience. And he has had a decent number of goal contributions. He's been effective in some games. He's given good assists, and especially the Barcelona game, the Brentford game, the Wolves game I remember. But then sometimes he just misses way too many chances. The Everton game this weekend. Garnacho just doesn't have that final product locked in, and while he has been contributing, he still needs to do a lot more. Next up is João Pedro, and I'm definitely going to put him in A. João Pedro, of course, had a great Club World Cup, high expectations set from him, which he did start well at the start of the season, scored against West Ham, scored against Fulham, then he died down a bit, but he's still been giving consistent goal contributions. Atlanta, Tottenham, Newcastle, he has been scoring consistently, which is why I'm going to put him in A. Maybe not match the very high expectations put on him after the Club World Cup, but before Club World Cup, whatever the expectations would have been around João Pedro, he's definitely matched that and exceeded to some extent. Then we have Andre Santos. I'm going to put him in a B. Of course, great season on loan at Strasbourg last season, very high expectations set for him, good backup for Caicedo, and he has done well. In the game against Burnley, for example, replaced Caicedo effortlessly. He's not contributed to the goals a lot. I know he scored against Barcelona, that was offside. He's been good, but I think he might have been a bit overhyped after the Strasbourg loan, and he still needs to do a lot more to be cemented as a proper first team player. Then we have Robert Sanchez, and I know as shocking as it might seem, but not anymore really, I'm going to put him in the S tier. Because Robert Sanchez somehow, I think, has definitely been our player of the season so far. I mean, it's such a good journey. Flop after flop performances, mistake after mistake, giving the ball away, and then the shift at the end of the last season, winning the Club World Cup Golden Glove, and now this season he's tied for the Premier League Golden Glove right now. And he's made such good saves, especially even this weekend against Anthony Gordon. Sanchez has really turned into one of the most reliable goalkeepers in the Premier League, whether it's shot stopping wise or even distribution. Did you guys see his assist for João Pedro over this weekend? That's why Sanchez has to be in the S tier for me. What a start to the season. Let's hope he can continue this form. Now we have the man himself, Cole Palmer, and I'm going to put him in C. Now, he's been injured. Let's say that off the bat. He played the first game of the season and then didn't play for about a month. Then he came back, scored instantly against Brentford, scored against Bayern, our first goal in the Champions League this season, and then against Man United he went off injured again for 2 months, and then he scored 1 goal, he came back against Everton, but his performances have not necessarily been a lot better than what we saw towards the end of last season, sort of, when he had that period of struggle. And Cole Palmer is someone we need to be at his best. Of course, there's issues with Maresca not playing him in his preferred position. When he played there against Everton, he did really well. Then he went back to playing on the left against Newcastle. And there is Maresca to criticize for this as well. I think it's a combination of injuries, Maresca not maybe placing him in his best position. He's done decently. I mean, he still has 3 goals this season with all of this, all the injuries, limited game time. But there's just so much more we are yet to see from this man, and hopefully as the season goes on, he will deliver and Maresca learns his right position and it all works out. Now we have Estevao, and definitely going straight into A. Estevao, really high expectations, even though he's just 18, he's just a youngster. There was a lot of buzz around this guy, and he has delivered. A lot of goals, lots of assists, goal contributions. He's injured right now, hasn't played a lot. And that's one thing, he hasn't played a lot this season, to be honest. But he showed up in big moments. Barcelona, Liverpool. Big games, big goals. And that is the amount of confidence you will need to succeed at a club like Chelsea long term. And he has shown that. Of course, he gets the crowd excited every time, especially near the start of the season when he was dribbling players for fun. A bit injured right now, but great start to the season. Let's hope he can end his first season on a really good high. Now we have Moises Caicedo, and he's going straight up to S tier. This guy, on top of everything he had until last season, has now added goals to his game. I think he has 4 goals this season, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is Moises Caicedo. I think the Liverpool game, the goal he scored and the game overall can sum up what he is in one game itself. Defensive midfielder, gets the ball back, ball winner, doesn't let the other team get through, interceptions, passes, great distributions, long distance shooter, scores goals now. I think he scored 3 goals from outside the box this season or something like that. He's just become a more complete player, and honestly, it's amazing the level at which he performs every single week. I know he got that red card against Arsenal, but he deserves some much needed rest. And now, hopefully, he carries on into the second half of the season as well. Now we have Dario Esugo, and I'm just going to put him in C just because he's been injured for most of the season. We haven't seen him. He's played for 1 or 2 games and then he went out injured. So nothing to say there really. Decent signing. Let's see what happens. Benoit Badiashile, I'm going to put him in B. Now this is another player who's been injured on and off. He's not been injured the whole time, but in the time he has played, he's been quite decent. I remember the Liverpool game, he was quite solid. And Badiashile does offer that Colville replacement at centre-back we've been looking for the whole season, given Colville has got an ACL. In the Liverpool game especially, that left-footed, line-breaking, ball-playing centre-back, which Maresca wants. But Badiashile's just not consistent enough in terms of injuries, and he's just not ahead enough in the pecking order compared to Wesley Fofana, Chalobah, even Achiempong to some extent. So yeah, decent start to the season, but still a lot more to see. Reece-James, I'm still debating whether I put him in the S tier or the A tier, but I think after this weekend's free kick, Reece-James S tier. What a start to the season. Right back, defensive midfielder, wherever you want him, he's there, he's ready to play. Racking up the goals, racking up the assists, and this truly is Reece-James' first full proper season since Thomas Tuchel's time, because last season, it's been a year now since Reece-James was injured, right? Since January, he's been really consistent, and this season especially, he started a lot of the big games. He hasn't been injured. His fitness has been regulated really well. He's put in solid performances against Arsenal, Barcelona, you name it, he's done it. What a guy, man. Especially this weekend. His leadership has evolved too a lot. The Liverpool game, the Newcastle game this weekend when he cheered up the crowd after starting the comeback. Reece-James is starting to become a really, really complete footballer and a good captain. Let's see what happens in the second half of the season. Great start to the season for Reece-James. Pedro Neto as well, I'm going to put in A. Our most consistent attacker in terms of goal contributions, scores when it matters most, just racks up the goals and assists, and just Mr. Consistent always. He's always there, defensive contribution, offensive contributions, and he's barely ever injured, always fit, and he's been doing really good this season. The thing with Pedro Neto is, he might have a bad game, but he does end up with goals, which is something we really, really need in this team, and he has been doing that. Our most efficient winger this season. Let's hope that he can keep this up for the rest of the season, because we need our wingers to start contributing a lot more. Pedro Neto's there, Garnacho needs to step up, Gittins I'll come to in a while. These guys need to step up, but Neto has been doing that so far this season. Enzo Fernandez, I'm going to put in A. The start of the season, again, he slowed down a bit right now, but again, it's December, it's Chelsea, everyone slows down. He's racking up the goals, he's racking up the assists, he's racking up the numbers basically. And first few big games of the season, Barcelona, Arsenal, he's had really top performances. Really, really good performances. And again, he's evolved into a leader as well. He already was our vice captain, handing the penalty to Esteban. Just instances like these. And again, the goal contributions are just piling in. I know a lot of people complain that Enzo Fernandez doesn't play the deep line playmaker role, but who cares? We have a system. He's fitting it well, and even this weekend against Newcastle, he did not start. We were getting run over in the midfield. We had no numbers, and then the moment he comes on in the second half, it all changes. We regain that balance. That shows how important Enzo Fernandez has been to our midfield this season, and hopefully it continues for a long time. Buonanotte, I'm going to put in B because, I mean, firstly, he's barely played. He's mostly only played in some of the lower club Champions League games and the Carabao Cup games. But the thing with Buonanotte is he hasn't looked that great when he's played. He's had some good games like the one against Cardiff, and he scored his first goal against, I don't even remember who it was. That's the thing. First game of the Carabao Cup. But yeah, he was a loan signing anyway. I don't think it really matters how good he is. he's basically just a backup for Palmer so that we know someone's there to fill in when Palmer's injured. Next up is Wesley Fofana, and I'm going to put him in the A category. Of course, injury problems have troubled him for a long time, but he's been solid this season. Whenever he's played, there's a different sense of confidence in this team. The Tottenham game I remember very well. He just sort of arrived from injury at the time and put in a solid performance. And Chalobah, who I'll get to in a bit, just looks so much more confident with Fofana in the mix. I know he made a mistake this weekend against Newcastle, but overall, Fofana has had a very good start to the season. The way he moves, the way he stops attacks, he breaks the attacks, he drives the ball up the pitch. For example, for the colepalmer goal against Everton, he drove the ball up the pitch, gave it to Gusto, who then gave the assist to Palmer. There's just a different level of confidence that Fofana brings into his defense that I think no other centre-back at our club does right now. Maybe except Colville, but of course, he's injured. So that's why Fofana, great start of the season. Hopefully, Fofana can stay fit, because that's always the main issue with him. If he can stay fit, we have a confident centre-back pairing. Philip Jorgensen, I'm going to put in C. He's just not been that impressive and given the chance in the Carabao Cup. I remember that one game where he made a bunch of errors. That one of them even led to a goal, I think. And he did headbutt Fofana. I think he headbutted or punched Fofana that actually let him sideline. So just not a very impactful player, Jorgensen. Sometimes I forget he's at our club, but it is what it is. He's a backup keeper, not much to complain. Jamie Gittins, I'm going to put on a B, because the thing with Jamie Gittins is, at the start of the season, he really wasn't contributing a lot. He did start a few Premier League games, but then he was quickly moved down to the subs bench, just not doing enough. But then in the Carabao Cup, Champions League, sort of less physical, less competitive that way, he started to show his worth, racked up a lot of assists. That goal against Wolves was amazing, but he's still yet to show his worth in the Premier League. That's why I've put him in B. But I've not put him in C because he has shown glimpses of what he can do. He has racked up some goal contributions. So with Jamie Gittins, it's a race to see how quickly he can adapt to the physical level of the Premier League, which I think unfortunately is going to take a long time. So let's see what happens. Now we have Jorel Hato, and I'm going to put him in B. Hasn't played a lot of games, let's be honest. I thought he'd play a lot more games given that Cucurella needs so much rest, because last season he was our only left back. But the games he started, Jorel Hato did look decent, did look confident. But then that game against Karabakh, for instance, where he made some mistakes, 2-2 draw. And ever since then, he's hardly played any games, which is why I don't have much basis to rank him on. That's why I've put him in B. Hato might play a more substantial role towards the end of the season, maybe when fatigue kicks in. But if Colville returns, Badiashile returns, I think Hato's playing time is going to go even lower. So let's see what happens with this one. And then who I was just talking about, Marc Cucurella, I'm going to put in the A category. Again, nothing exceptional, but just a solid player. Since last season, he's been performing really well. He's had some weak games recently, but then fatigue has to kick in. He's been playing so much football over the last 2 seasons. But yeah, solid player at left back, always locks down whoever comes at him. I remember Michael Olise in the game against Bayern. That's probably the only time I remember someone getting the better of Cucurella in the game in recent times. The way he stopped Yamal from doing anything in that Barcelona game, I think a lot of people remember that. So yeah, Cucurella, again, solid start to the season. Now I have Josh Achiampong, and I'm going to put him in the A category, but this is a bit confusing. Because, of course, Josh Achiampong started the first game of the season when we had a centre-back crisis, way too many injuries. And he did a really good job at centre-back. He locked up Mateta really well in his first game, I remember. And overall, he's done good whenever he's been called upon. But Maresca doesn't start him too often, and I get that. He's not that experienced. He's still sort of an academy product who's just come into the first team. But Achiampong has put in some really solid performances whenever he has come on. And I think he should get more game time if we get persistent injuries. Let's say Fofana gets injured again. I think Achiampong really should be the first name we go to off the bench. Next up, we have Liam Delap. And I'm sorry, I'm going to put this one in D. A lot of reasons for this. First of all, as per what I remember, he still hasn't scored a goal in the Prem. And you can definitely not say that he's done better than Jackson would have if he would have stayed. I've been saying that since day one, that we have no basis to prove that this guy is going to be better than Jackson. He got injured right, for 3 months, I understand, hamstring injury. But then even when he's been here, he hasn't done a lot. And then the Wolves game, for example, when he came back, stirred up a fight for no reason at all, got a red card, got suspended. And then, against Bournemouth, barging into the centre-back for no reason, and eventually that led him to a duel and then to a dislocated shoulder, which had him sent out for another few weeks. I think he's still going to be back next week, but that's 4 games missed. So that's the thing. Liam Delap has been doing self-inflicted damage, and the 1 goal he scored in the Champions League, I mean, that was a gift, you know. Enzo gave him a tap-in against Barcelona. Liam Delap, I'm not impressed at all, because when he's played, he hasn't done a lot, and otherwise he's been suspended or injured, and most of the time it's self-inflicted damage. So let's see. Malo Gusto, I'm definitely going to put in A. Last season, there were a lot of questions because he'd done a good job under Pochettino, overlapping right back. But then Maresca started to play him in this inverted role as the number 10, number 8, whatever you want to call it. And then there were a lot of questions about if Malo Gusto can pull this off. And this season as well, he's been up and down in some games, but recently he's really started to show his importance in that center of the pitch, especially when Caicedo was suspended, Dario Sugo, Lavia was injured. Malo Gusto played a lot of games in that midfield, especially Everton, Liverpool, and he showed that he can do it. He's getting goals now. He got 2 goals this season, his first goals in his professional career. So overall, good start to the season from Gusto. Hopefully he can develop even more as an attacking player. Defensively, he is a bit 50-50 sometimes, but more or less he's solid. And he has Reece-James, man. Reece-James is going to train him into a top right back one day. Mark Q, I'm a bit confused about whether to put him in the B category or the A category. I think I'm going to put him in B for now. Of course, went to Sunderland, had to come back because of Delap's injury. And when he's been given the chance, he's been decent most of the time. I remember that game against Burnley when he gave that brilliant assist to Enzo, drove at the defense, cut back, Enzo scored. He's been that striker presence we needed sometimes when João Pedro had to go to the number 10 and Delap was injured. But again, nothing exceptional, nothing extraordinary. That's why I'm going to put him in B. Mostly just a filler to replace Liam Delap when injured. Let's see what happens in the second half of the season when Delap is hopefully back from injury and ready. Tosin, I'm going to put in C, not in D, because Tosin has had some solid games this season, but then there's been inexcusable mistakes, especially the game against Leeds, which really sticks to memory. And overall, he's just not been that solid over the course of the season, especially in the first 2 months of the season. Our defense was a huge issue. I think there was a string of 7 games when we always conceded first, even when we were winning or drawing. So that's the issue. Tosin, not great at all, and he even makes the defense look underconfident sometimes, because a lot of people say this. Chalobah has been looking a lot better ever since Fofana has been his centre-back partner rather than Tosin. So maybe that's a mental thing there, but let's see what happens. Romeo Lavia, I'm going to straight up put in D, because the thing is, this guy is so good. Romeo Lavia, he's press resistance pro max. If he has the ball in that midfield, no team is pressing it and getting it away from him. But he's never available. He's out injured again. He played that game against Tottenham, posted stuff on his Instagram, training ground, blah, 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 blah. And then he's out injured again. The thing is, we needed a Caicedo replacement, alright? We got Dario Sugo, got injured. Because Lavia was injured all the time, and he got injured too. So we asked Lavia if he could stay fit, but of course he couldn't, got injured again. If Lavia gets injured another time, I think it might be game over. This is even beyond Reece-James levels, Fofana levels. They are now back. They've shown some time period of consistent showing up, but Lavia has not been consistent throughout his first 3 seasons at the club. With Fofana, there was a time of 4 months last season when he was fit. But with Lavia, it's always 1 month in, 1 month out, and then he's just never fit for a consistent amount of time, and that's why I'm going to put him in the D category. He's not had a good season because he's not been playing, he's not been there. Now we have Trevor Chalobah, and I'm going to put him in B, because he's definitely had some shaky games, but he scored a lot of goals from corners against West Ham, I remember, against Arsenal, of course, the first goal. So it's been a mixed start to the season. As I've said, the Fofana Chalobah partnership has looked really good. I think they've had 6 clean sheets together, 5 or 6. He does look a bit underconfident when he plays with someone else at centre back, like Achiampong or Tosin, but overall it's been a decent start to the season. Chalobah again proving why he deserves to be at the club after the whole drama last season. I think it's going to be better as the season goes on. Our defense has really found some sort of stability, and I think Chalobah will only improve. The last player, of course, is Tyreek George. I'm going to put him in B because Tyreek George, even though he was going to be sold at the end of the transfer window, he stayed, and then he's popped up with quite a few important goals for us. He scored in that Carabao Cup game, I remember, and he scored in the Champions League against Ajax. That was his first Champions League goal, and he's popped up with decent performances here and there. Again, nothing exceptional, just standard, doing the job academy product. So that's all for Tyreek George, and that brings us to the end of the tier list. If I move my camera for a second, this is the full final tier list. As you can see, 3 players in the S category, most of them in the A and B category, because no one's really had a bad season, I would say, so far. But then some special mentions who really need to step up. Colepalmer, you can say, is an exception. Injuries, manager misprofiling, whatever. But given Colepalmer's very high standards, which he set himself, he needs to do a lot better in the second half of the season. So yeah guys, that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed. Drop a like if you did, and subscribe to our channel if you're new there. There'll be more videos coming soon. I know I've been really irregular, but hopefully I'm back. More content to be coming on soon. And on to the next one. We have a game against Aston Villa. Hopefully we can win that one. The match review will be out the next day. And I'll see you for that one, guys. Have a good day and goodbye.